this is a must. Other than the Kevin Shorey show and visiting the Branson
I've
Mill.
never been.
You haven't?
Uh-uh.
Oh, buddy,
Never
I
have.
have to take you.
No, I'm excited about the Samson. Will be the next one. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
going to be. They're all great.
Yeah.
Some say Moses is the best. I think this is a really good one, but Jonah to me.
Jonah.
And Noah. Noah and Jonah, maybe it has to do with water. I don't know. They do a lot of water things with Moses.
Uh-huh.
First, he's in the bulrush as a baby. But when they part the Red Sea, this is amazing. You guys, you got to see it. It's great. It's
Cool.
Cindy's first time.
Yeah, that's awesome, buddy.
So your weekend, the Predators.
Yes.
Yes.
We got,
They
I
got
don't
robbed, didn't
understand.
they?
Look.
Tell me what
I'm
was
not
that
a conspiracy
call?
dude. Okay, so
no,
here's
not
the deal.
conspiracy, but
It is a conspiracy, though. The NHL does not want us to win.
well, they played in Pittsburgh. It's
Played in
suspicious,
Pittsburgh.
yeah.
So
a little fishy.
basically, and people were tweeting out the rule, basically going against what the NHL was saying. Okay, are you familiar with the rules of soccer at all, Kevin? Like, okay, so
Not really.
here's the deal. In
mean
soccer,
football?
you cannot like just have one of your dudes standing down here and just pass it to him every time. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? Because
okay.
obviously he would be in front of everybody. In soccer,
Right.
you have to pass it to the guy who is not beyond the furthest defender.
Okay.
So in hockey, it's like that too, but it's not based on the defender. It's based on this blue line, and they call it offsides. The puck has to enter that zone before your man enters that zone, and it creates the same effect, so that you can't have some guy down there the whole time where you get the ball or puck, shoot it down to him, and then he scores it real quick, right?
Okay.
But both skates had to be across the line, and the guy was straddling the line, had one on either side, and they disallowed a goal, but it wasn't even him who shot it. It was like he gets the puck, passes it to one guy, passes it to another guy, shoots it in, then the coach challenges a few 30 seconds later, and they say it was no good goal. And then in the next 5 minutes, they scored 3 goals.
Well, how is that not a good goal? I don't understand
It
that
was
then.
so
They were
wrong.
calling offsides?
They called it offsides retroactively. And then they called a penalty is like you go 5-on-4 for a while.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you can actually get 2 penalties on one play if 2 guys do something wrong. They put them on a 5-on-3, and one of them was like Sidney Crosby, who's a superstar, but he like flopped like this, like they do in the NBA or in soccer,
Yeah.
It was just so wrong. But anyway, they were up 3-0. We fought all the way back, and then they got one in at the very end. So we
Yeah.
outplayed them. And even Pittsburgh's coach was saying, that Nashville was the best team last
Do
night.
they ever
so
rescind a call like that or say
every once in a while. But people were saying, I mean, this is a gross
Yeah.
miscarriage of justice.
it'll be
yes.
on all ESPN, all that today?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's okay because usually what you do, Kevin, in a 7-game series is that if you don't, they have home field advantage, which means if it goes 7, 4 of the games will be there and 3 of the games will be in Nashville. But the first 2 are in Pittsburgh, so if the away team can win just one of those games, the away team steals home field advantage in a sense.
So they go back. But if Penguins win again tomorrow, they have to stay in Pittsburgh?
No. It doesn't not
No.
necessarily work like that, but it'll be if Nashville wins tomorrow, it'll be 1-1. 3 games left in Nashville, 2 games left in Pittsburgh. See what I'm saying? So if you
Oh, I see.
win one of the first 2, you kind of steal the home field advantage.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we
So,
hope that's what happens.
Hope that's what happens.
Yeah, because just for them to be in that. Now, I didn't realize they were at least like 18, 20 years. They say 18 years as a
Oh
as a
yeah,
team?
yeah. We came around about
Predators?
1998, same time the Titans came to Tennessee.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
and we've just been had some good years. Last year went pretty far in the playoffs, not even close to this far, but yeah, we've had some good years.
Oh, this is it, man. This is the big one.
It's awesome,
Yes.
dude.
And there's a rule. I mean, not a rule, but there's a superstition
Uh-huh.
that they don't pick up the trophy. They don't touch it until they.
Yeah, the conference championship trophy.
I just heard that last night.
Yeah, it was
Well,
cool. They were all like around and nobody touched it though. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, okay. So, a lot of things in the news. I guess another person has been, or they resigned. Another person in the whatever. So I don't even know if he's a big league. Whatever.
Okay, I didn't hear about this
Yeah,
morning.
so I just saw that this morning. And so, but is it normal? I think it's normal for the new president. Everything changes and shifts for the first few months or the first year. Isn't that true? They normally shift and change.
Yeah, a lot of times. But I think
But
a
what's
little,
funny to me
yeah.
is that the news puts it as the spin is there is anarchy in the staff and the cabinet and nobody knows what they're doing or whatever. Okay, whatever. So.
Well,
Enough
I think
said.
there are some people who don't like each other within his cabinet. I think there's different factions.
Yeah, what
There's
is
sort
it,
of the
that-
New York people
The
versus the
Bannon and
Bannon people. Yeah.
yeah. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, they'll figure that out. Yeah. There was definitely been rivalries down through the years
Right,
that
right.
I can recall.
Well, but Lincoln put together a team of rivals, in
He
his
did,
cabinet,
didn't he?
you know.
And one of the greatest books everybody should read if they love history, the book called The Team of Rivals.
Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Oh,
Yes.
very good, very good, very good. All right. Well, I just heard that Puerto Rico, who's been having economic woes,
Yes.
was saved by a company, Pfizer.
Oh.
Because in this town that usually raised tropical fruits,
Uh-huh.
pineapple, coconuts, or whatever,
Uh-huh.
now produces Viagra. So things have looked up have gone up
better
for
for
Puerto Rico.
Puerto
Yeah,
Ricans?
there you
Right.
go.
Cool.
They have risen in Puerto Rico by the sales. Whatever it takes, right? I
Yeah.
don't know what the ingredient is, but I guess they can do that, and there's a factory there, and the whole thing. So Puerto Rico, all right. Shout out to Puerto
Come on.
Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Hola.
You ever been there, Kev?
I haven't. I would like to. Now our program was on in Jamaica for a while, and
Yeah.
we kind of dropped the ball on that. Mark Muir had a good friend of mine who has stations all around Jamaica. Said not only would you be on TV, and we were for a year
Uh-huh.
in our first season, and we just need to reconnect with that. But once we do that, we can actually have some meetings and services out in Puerto Rico.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I know. Speaking of meetings, we are coming to Springfield. We're going to Springfield June 11th. We'll be there Sunday morning only, 10:30 in Springfield. We'll be in Alabama, Atmore, Alabama, June 18th down there with J.T. Guyton and the crew at Cross Point Baptist Church. And then Harrison, Arkansas. And so we're covering 3 states here this month, Arkansas, Missouri, and Alabama. And so that's June 25th in Harrison, Arkansas. So go to our website, kevintroy.com, and find out more information if you would. Is our itinerary put up? I forgot to send you. Did I give you the itinerary? I don't know. I don't know. April went to go have breakfast, so I don't
Yeah.
know. But I'll find out. We're going to make sure it's up there. But the itinerary and all the information will be there. It's on our regular program as well. But well, that's kind of cool. That Puerto Rico is helping people besides pineapples. You know, they're helping men with erectile dysfunction.
Well, it's cool
and all
that if they're doing better, because I've heard they were really struggling really bad. So
Yeah, it's helping. At least that one town in the area is putting people to work. It's given another export.
because these,
It just tickles you,
the
topic. But
our Wall Street crisis, like in 2008, when there was all that kind of stuff, and we were big enough to handle something like that. But there were other countries in the world who, like Iceland, went completely bankrupt.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, I think, of course, Puerto Rico is a part of
And
America,
Greece.
but it's not.
Yeah.
Greece has
Yeah.
a lot to do with that. Yeah, so a lot of those kind of things, we're a little bit more stable as Americans. But,
Yeah.
other countries are a little
and we're
more
connected to
fluid
Puerto
like
Rico.
that.
It's one of our territories.
It's one of our
but-
territories, yeah.
But yet, they've got to build their own economy. And so shout out to that whole deal. And Pfizer for keeping it within American territories. I appreciate that. And, okay, I'm just freaky things today.
Okay.
Just weird things today. But now what is the number, one of the largest, besides America, there's another country, almost a whole continent, that cattle is the big deal. You know what?
Australia.
That would be Australia, correct. That would be, I was about to try an Australian accent. Australia. Shrimp on the I don't know. I used to be able good at accents, but
No,
anyway,
I just
so
sounds like-
Aussie.
No.
No, yeah. It's almost British, and so
Yeah,
since I
yeah.
spent more time in England, I've never been to Australia. Anyway, because I never thought of this, if you want to ship cattle to the world from a place like Australia, you put it on boats. It can only get to the coastland, whatever. Well, one of their biggest buyers of their beef is China, or as President says, China. And so the way that they've been getting it over Australian Airlines, Qantas, whatever.
Qantas, yeah.
Their 747 jets, a lot of them are carrying cows on the airplane.
Wow.
I thought it just stuck out. Yes. And people can still buy tickets, but if they go on this airline, they have to sit on like boxes, and they don't even
Really?
have real seats. Some of them have seats, But in these 747s with seats, you'll have to share it with cows from Australia to China. If you want to
on
go
that-
to China.
That's like on the American Airlines, except for instead of getting booted off by a person, you get booted off by a cow. Sir, we've got a cow. We need you to.
You're gonna have to move.
You're gonna move.
Make way for the heifers. Yeah, I've flown with some heifers. But anyway, anybody bigger than me should really buy 2 seats. I don't know. I'm just saying it's really hard. But I'm not complaining. This comedian, Louis C.K.,
Yes.
is mostly clean, and
He's genius.
but isn't he genius?
Yes.
There's this viral YouTube that's going around. Have you seen it? He's on Conan. He's
Tell
talking
me.
about this generation of idiots. He's talking about you people, the millennials.
Yeah. You
Because we complain the most about, well, boomers do too,
Uh-huh.
about all the technology. He's
I've
talking
heard
about
this,
planes.
yeah.
You're sitting in a chair,
In an
flying
aluminum
through the
tube,
sky,
yeah.
flying through the sky like a bird. Every time you get on the plane, you shoot, woo! But instead, we
yeah.
go, oh, we have to sit. We're delayed for 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
You're flying through the air.
Yeah, or then he goes. I love when people say their cell phone doesn't work. It's going to space.
It's
Give
going
it a
to-
minute.
Yeah, give it a minute. He was talking about, you get from New York to LA in 5 hours. He said in the olden days,
Yeah.
it took 30 years for them to get across the country. It was a whole nother group of people that showed up in California because you'd have babies and you'd die from diseases. 30 years. And you're going to complain? Yeah.
He's so funny.
Oh, he is great. Genius. Look that up because that one that's clean and it's really true how we take technology for granted. But so sharing a flight from Australia to China with cows, I thought that was pretty
Cows,
cool. We got our greedy of the day. Are you ready to hit the greedy of the day? We got a theme song for the greed of the day, and this I believe is a definite big company.
So greedy of the day, the NHL. No, I'm just kidding.
No, just the Pittsburgh Penguins who bought out the umpires or referees.
Refs, yeah.
Yeah. No, they didn't. That's just a conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy.
We don't believe all those. But
I don't.
Oswald did not act alone. But anyway, greed of the day. Play
Back
it.
into the left. Back into the left.
Well, it's not playing. You want me to sing it for
Well,
you? Anyway.
yeah.
All right, and I'll set it up. You have to sing it so I can set it up. Ready? Greedy. There it is.
You're fired.
You're fired. Greed of the day. Thank you, Gary. Greed of the day is definitely the company called Takata. Do you know what Takata does? So Takata was a company, and I'm sure they do other things, but they were the main supplier and creator of airbags
Oh.
for Toyota, Honda, Takata, and all the Japanese-owned cars, and there may be other cars as well, but I know it was Toyota. One man who owned a Toyota and a Honda had the recall before something could happen because their airbags either were not shooting out or they were killing people, which I think it was probably the former than the latter. The latter airbags can still hurt people, but they weren't deploying, and so it was a recall, right? Last year. Takata has still not fulfilled all of the airbag. Yes, they have not. Still, this guy's still waiting for one of his cars to not get the airbag. What are you supposed to do if you're in an accident between now and then? So no airbag, no, what do you...
Wow.
Greed.
Greed.
It's
crazy.
It is crazy.
I-
Because the reason, but it's not even the greed that they can't, maybe they owe so much millions of airbags around the world, but it's not that, it's that they chinsed and cheaped out,
Yeah.
I don't even know the word, all the airbags to begin with. They
Right.
recall because they weren't done right
Right.
the first time. How do you take people's lives in your hands by doing that? I mean, it's
Because-
happened with greedy people throughout the centuries.
Yeah.
But this to me,
Well, me and my dad talk about this a
anybody
lot.
agree? Come on, who's online today?
We got Mike Wellman.
Hey, Mike,
buddy.
miss you, buddy.
Our friend Tara.
Tara. She was here a while back. She was supposed to be. Were you here, Tara? I think she was here last week in the studio. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. But anyway, so I was gonna say about me and my dad. That's who's joined us today, and at least who's commented on us and stuff. Probably
Yeah.
a little bit more people.
There's hundreds there.
Hundreds more people. But so me and my dad talk about this. They literally, Kevin, will make a calculation that however much they can get sued by is still not equivalent to the money that they will save
No, right.
on making cheaper stuff,
Yeah.
And that's why I'm very much against, too much tort reform. Like, we live in a litigious society where people sue each other all the time.
True.
But the problem is that corporations are lobbyists, and so what we think, what gets put to us is like tort reform about you can't get sued for something is like that a company can't get sued anymore, or some states put caps on it.
Horrible.
And what they do is, see, people don't understand. People always say, well, oh my gosh, this girl got $2 million for spilling coffee on herself. Well, okay, that's picking out one strange example, but
Yeah, there are
that's
weird examples.
punitive lawsuits are made for a reason. The reason they
Yeah.
are because they are supposed to punish the company.
Right.
It's not for that greedy person just get
Yeah.
$1 million for no reason.
I
It's
think,
you
yeah.
know, yeah.
No,
that's
there's
the only
frivolous.
thing that can.
There's frivolous. They're out there for sure.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, there's these greedy companies. There's these folks that they really have killed people
Yeah.
because of greed, first of all.
Absolutely.
And now, some people may die, and I don't know. I should have read the whole article. Well, I did read it all. There wasn't any deaths associated yet, but how is it not going to happen? If this guy who owns this Toyota and this Honda is in a car accident, he has no airbags. They're still waiting a year later for them to have everybody get their airbags. And so the greed just continues. Takata, we're calling you out. Money, 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 money. Yeah. Well, there's fun news for today. And
Greed of the day. Yes.
agreed. I had another news thing, and I couldn't remember. I didn't write it down somewhere. But there's something that happened in the news that I was going to share. Of course, yesterday was Memorial Day, and I get teared up. When I see a person in uniform, I tell them thank you for your service, and I get teared. They must think, what a baby. But I mean, still, because anybody that would give their life for our freedom, for whatever reason, some say, well, this war is stupid or this didn't happen. Whatever, you're still giving your life for our country in duty and service. So, forget the reasons or whatever. You're still, and it chokes me up. And yesterday, I wasn't going to get choked up. I was just going to watch as first of all, the defense secretary and then the vice president and then the president comes out at Arlington Cemetery and they lay the wreath. I was good. Yeah. I was good. And then they play taps.
Yeah.
They play.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm gone, because I don't know what it's like to lose a family member in war, but it must be just horrendous. I did have a great uncle that in World War II was a pilot and was shot down and killed, but I wasn't even born yet when that happened. Right. So it's kind of distant from me, but it still chokes me up that families will lose their. And then President Trump gave the illustration. There was 3 or 4 people in the audience that had family members that had given their lives, and so Memorial Day, I hope for everybody. While people gave their lives, we're deciding whether we're going to have hot dogs or hamburgers.
Right,
I mean, I hope it was more than that for everybody, and you took some time. And
we
even in church Sunday, we took a moment of silence for all of those who've lost their lives.
Right. We on TV yesterday was The Greatest Generation by Tom Brokaw. That document. It was really cool, and this, the beginning was so cool. It was talking about the guy was like looking at, talking to people and say, "Did you fight? Did you serve?" He said, "Well, there's 15 million of us. Who didn't serve? It was everybody back then. It was just such a unique time, and all these, and they said, don't get too close to your, bunk mates, because all of a sudden he might be gone the next day, and so.
Yeah. And I think even more today, because we're such a, like I said, like a selfish, as Louis C.K. says, a generation of selfish idiots. But I wouldn't go that far, but I would say, in this day and age, where there's so many of your generation and older, we haven't really had any major conflicts. I mean, there's been Afghanistan, and those are heavy deals, but not everybody agrees with that politically or whatever reason. So for today, for a man or woman to go and fight and do those things, that it's even more powerful. It was a thing to do back in World War II. That generation. So today, I honor them even more.
And to have an all-volunteer service it speaks to that every single one of those people chose. Every single one of they signed up. There's nobody who had to. It's pretty amazing that to me that almost creates. If you could have a scenario where you have that, it almost creates that, a little bit more kind of motivation, or so to
Yeah.
speak, or
It's the real deal.
so that, that you don't have any weak links in the chain, and
Yeah.
so,
No, I think that's why we've been one of the strongest. We are the strongest force in the world.
yeah.
So
Hey, I got a news event because we got a few minutes
Okay.
or something.
All right.
It's really I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube this weekend about it.
yeah.
All right, there's this professor named Jordan Peterson, and he's from the University of Toronto.
Okay.
And he's found himself in some hot water. I did
Why?
not know this about Canada. Okay, they have taken this politically correct thing to like the nth degree.
Yeah, they're just ridiculous.
They are crazy.
From what I've seen, I don't know.
Okay, they have put there's the child transgender thing, right?
Is that going on up there too?
Yes, hardcore. And so,
Ugh.
but they have this thing now where it is literally, first off, they have this thing about like hate speech, which I get that, especially if but I don't really know any kind of speech that you're making laws against. That gets into some weird territory, But they literally, Kevin, there are 78 invented pronouns for
on.
people. So instead of she, if they're a person who is a non-gender binary, as they call it's Z,
Non-gender
Z or Zer. And so this professor said he's not going to use these pronouns, and he got like letters from his university, and like
Oh,
it's
come
crazy,
on.
dude.
That
And
is
this guy is
crazy.
like, y'all are tyrants, y'all are Marxists. This is nuts. Like, so
I know. Some of the Christian stations there, the Christian television programs that come out of Canada and all,
Uh-huh.
friends of mine have told me the past few years it's worse and worse. They can be shut down, even arrested,
yes.
if they say anything against the homosexual community or any kind of thing that they deem politically incorrect. I mean, they're cut down. Yeah. And let's praise God or pray to God that it doesn't hit here in America, because
I know.
it's
Well,
gone crazy up
Yeah,
there.
I think some places like our campuses, Kevin, something happened where, like in
Something
the
happened,
'60s,
that's right.
our campuses, they skewed to the left.
Yeah.
But
I
but
remember.
I think that what's happened is it's this self-perpetuating machine, which now they're like these radical leftists like across, and it's crazy. Like even at like the University of Missouri, they have like, the protests, because I don't even know the whole story, but to me it didn't seem like that thing with the stuff that was going on was really that bad, and but I mean it's really gotten out of control with this political correct stuff. I mean I don't go by it.
Well, I blame a lot of the professors as well, because they have leaned that way, and so they're instituting their ideals to these kids, shaping their minds, and first of all, I'm all for Christian universities, which a lot of these started as Christian Bible schools.
Yeah.
William and Mary and Harvard and
Harvard,
Yale and
yeah.
all of them. So we've come a long way, baby. But it's just a sign to me that Jesus is coming soon. Now, we were talking about wars.
Yes.
We are coming up now. Now we are time. Are you ready, Gary, for the next theme song? This is our theme song that we have picked of this month. And if you find one better about history, let me know. But I know this is not my favorite group. This is nothing I would listen to on a regular basis. But I think One Direction nailed our theme song. And our theme song for our historical moment with Marshall Howden goes like this. Got a whole
I kind of like it. Okay.
right? It grows on you. You and me, whole lot of history. Okay, that's it. Well, and it's because we have, as long as we have a historical moment, I think One Direction's in, because they've all broke up. They're all
Because we're
different.
going in One Direction.
One Direction. Man, we quote the president so much. I'm so glad. What would you do if we didn't have a president like? We couldn't quote Hillary like that if she'd have made president. No.
But
we'd have been taken off the air.
Kind of reminds me of Hillary.
James
And I'll tell you
Buchanan
why.
does?
I'll tell you why.
Because he's homosexual? No. There isn't, right? Isn't that a legend, though? Sorry, that
Yeah.
I offended
No, it
Hillary.
is.
I'm sorry. Forgive me for that. That was way wrong.
No, it is. We'll get
I got
into
the
that.
Bible
Yeah.
open, and I feel already very guilty and convicted for saying that. But James Buchanan was accused of that as well as Lincoln. But which is
Lincoln,
weird.
I don't know.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But we finished up Franklin Pierce,
Yes.
who served one term, was really a know-nothing party.
Right.
With a know-nothing happened.
Yeah.
Although he tried his best, I think he saw, as well as the know-nothings, before Millard Fillmore saw that there was going to be a secession or a war coming.
Yeah.
And if the secession didn't, by the way, the secession in the New England secession in the early 1800s, I'm down to I'm in the afterwards now.
Okay.
The duel has happened. Alexander Hamilton is dead. There's some cool stuff, but you know that when they went to do a duel, and I'm going way off this because we got extra time.
okay,
I think.
yeah.
But because I love history. If you don't like history, this is the time where you go and have your coffee, donut, or whatever you want to have, and then take your CLA so you can lose weight while you're having your donut. But but I love history. So anyway, so they have what they call the seconds. They would have somebody that was their second,
your
their
negotiator.
assistant,
Yes.
that negotiated about the duel, and they would have to go across the river to New Jersey because New
Yes.
York it was illegal.
Weehawken, New Jersey. Yes.
But James Monroe, who became a president, but before he was president, called out a duel on somebody, and Alexander Hamilton was James Monroe's second, his assistant in the duel. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And on the same grounds that happened, Alexander Hamilton's son, a couple years before, was killed in a duel on the
Yes,
same grounds.
Same place.
Alexander Hamilton feels like he could not back down from. Aaron Burr said, "I felt that you were insulting me." And because we never did an Aaron Burr thing, we did Alexander Hamilton, but Aaron Burr was vice president. He was
Yeah.
vice president
Yeah.
at the time, but politically he'd lost the governorship for New York. He had General Wilkinson, some other people saying, including a guy named Merry, Merry is his last name, that wanted to.
Senate to the Democratic Republicans,
Yeah.
There's the song right before the duel in the Hamilton play is called Your Obedient Servant, and it's reading the letters back and forth to each other. And
Oh.
at the end, it's like, I have the honor to be your obedient servant, A. Burr. So it's like then back and forth, So it's pretty cool. But yeah, and so yeah, they try to negotiate. It just
So they end up
always
there at
do
the
that.
duel on a Monday or whatever it was. Because he went to church Sunday, Monday. I think it was a Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
So they get up there, and already Alexander Hamilton had wrote out his will in case he didn't survive, and Aaron Burr did the same thing. But Alexander Hamilton says, "I'm going to let him," and he told some of his friends, "I'm going to let him take the first shot, maybe the second shot. I'm going to misfire. I'm not going to
Shoot in the air.
Yeah.
That's what he told his son to do
Shoot in the
too.
air.
Yeah.
So Burr aims and shoots him. At the same time that he was going to shoot in the air, he gets hit, and the shot goes past Aaron Burr's head and hits a tree. So he didn't get to shoot in the air. And they actually said that Burr may have even stepped on a rock, and it triggered it too, to where he aimed, because I don't think either one were going to aim the first shot at each other.
Somebody told me.
But then again,
yeah.
it also says Aaron Burr had some political thing that he could get some power if he was the one in a duel, which was seen as a good thing in those days for most
Yeah.
people, that if he took out Alexander Hamilton. So they don't know really
Yeah.
what his motive was.
Well, they inherited the dueling tradition from
continued on into the
from
West.
the 1700s, 16. However, so it wasn't something they invented. It was something that
No.
they did inherit. However, you don't see Franklin dueling. You don't see Washington dueling. So it was something that, yes, you did have to save face for those certain kind of people. Yes. But another thing that I heard was that Hamilton put on his glasses. And Burr
it's
thought
true.
because he put on his glasses, he was aiming to fire at him.
It's true. There was the sun. You get to pick which side you wanted to be on, and he picked the side he thought the sun coming at him would be good, but instead it was bad. I don't know why you would think that was good. I forget. But because the sun was in his eyes, he put on his glasses
Yeah.
to see better. But then Aaron Burr took that as, oh, he's hitting.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
going to aim at me.
Yeah.
So do we really know what was in their hearts? Hamilton had more than Burr. I think Burr came from a religious family, but Hamilton really felt in those last moments
Yeah.
Christianity. In his dying moments, as he was put to one of his friend's house there in New Jersey. He never made it back over to New York alive.
Uh-huh.
They took a boat. No, maybe they did get back to New
He's
York.
lived for a few days, I think.
Yeah, it was a couple days. His family came by. He said goodbye to all them. But he begged a priest to come, a preacher to come, and to have communion with him, so he knew that his soul was right. They didn't want to at first. I think it was because the dueling itself was sinful. The preachers were like, no, this is not even, you've committed sin. Well, I need to repent of that sin.
Right.
So finally he did, and that was one of his last things he did before he died, telling him once again that he didn't have any intention to shoot at Burr the first or second round. They told him, please do, because Burr will come after you.
Hamilton
But he
had appointments scheduled for later that day.
Yeah.
He was not intending to die. He did
No.
not think he was going to die.
No,
Yeah.
although he did take, Now, at this point, and I'm on the very last chapter, Burr ran to Philadelphia because he wasn't the hero he thought. No. People were, and he's getting news that they're not going to come after him legally because in New Jersey it was okay. It wasn't a legal thing. But, Alexander Hamilton was a hero.
Yeah.
And people remember how he saved, in the Revolutionary War. He was a great general, and also the Secretary of the Treasury, who, as Secretary of the Treasury, they didn't want to get this out. So Schuyler and some of the relatives, his best friend,
Lawrence or Lafayette or...
But a lot of friends tried to put money together because he was in debt.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Burr both in debt, pretty bad. So they tried to raise money, which they did. Schuyler, who was a millionaire, could have.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He only gave a pittance, they said. But anyway, they didn't want that word to get out because here's the original Secretary of the Treasury who died broke.
Right.
You know, so
Maybe Philip Schuyler didn't do that because he had just cheated on his daughter too. That was a whole other thing.
yeah, you know
Yeah.
about it. Is that from the play or is that just?
No, that's real. That was yeah.
well, the play's real too, right? But
Oh yeah.
I didn't-
Everything in the musicals is really real.
anyway, we took a lot of time.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't
well,
think
James
that Buchanan.
Buchanan's not too. So let's just go through him.
What party's he
Yeah.
in now, and
He's a
who's
Democrat
his vice
from
president?
Pennsylvania. Democrat was John C. Breckinridge.
Breckinridge.
Famous name,
Yeah.
you know. And so 1857 to 1861. So here's why I say he reminded me of Hillary. Because he was a congressman, foreign minister, senator, secretary of state. He was one of the most accomplished people to run for president, just like Hillary Clinton had accomplished a lot of political
But he became
posts.
president.
But he did become president, yes.
That's two mean things. Oh, forgive me. Oh, Lord, help me.
So
Is
here's the
anybody
deal.
mad at me? Is it,
I don't think so, not with her.
Thomas is there. Hi, Thomas.
Yeah, he's talking about, the left is taking over the in-state universities. Very true,
It's
very
true. So true.
So, James Buchanan never married.
No.
And here's the reason people think that, because
But that's.
he lived with William Rufus King, who was Pierce's vice president for 16 years. And they were kind of part of this little.
But Rufus was too old. I mean, he was.
Well, but he was
Rufus
61
is part
when
of
he
this
was.
whole deal.
Buchanan was 61, so they were both kind of. There was a
Little old
whole
men.
group of guys they called the dandies, or So there
Really?
was he probably was.
I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
always.
Yeah.
My rule is, unless you see him in bed, I don't. Even then, because Abraham Lincoln used to sleep with his best friend.
Yeah, I don't know why
But
people
that was
say that
bad.
though. I've never heard that before. You've said that, but I've never heard that.
Liberal
Yeah.
professors in these universities. See, it ties back. But Buchanan, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's so because of that though, his niece Harriet Lane served as the White House hostess. She was kind of acted as the first lady. So he was the only bachelor president we ever really had,
Well, Andrew Jackson was a widower, but his
Widower.
daughter was the same as.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
she was the hostess and like first lady. She took a lot.
Beautiful name, Emily Tennessee Donaldson. Yes, great name.
Oh,
yes.
that's right, Donaldson.
Yeah,
Donaldson Pike named after.
That's right.
Oh, I love
So,
history so much.
Yeah, so here's the deal. So since Harriet Lane wasn't his wife,
Yes.
they called her the first lady. So that's where we get that because she
Oh, that's
wa-
where it started?
Yeah, because she wasn't his wife, so they came up with a name for her, type of thing. Yeah.
Oh, I
So
see.
yeah.
Yes.
So here's where it gets squirrely. So he supported the Kansas Constitution that was drafted by the pro-slavery people, even though Kansas was mostly
Abolitionists. Yes.
So even Northern Democrats were like, "Why is he so pro-Southern?" Because
Where's he from?
Pennsylvania. So people could
Yeah.
not figure out what he was doing, and maybe he didn't even really have a plan. That might have been one of the problems. So
How did he become president then?
well,
Just an antithesis to Franklin Pierce.
he
so-
held a lot of positions before.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's true. Yeah. Secretary of State.
So many people think that because he was so pro-Southern, he really broke the terms of his oath of office. I mean, you say protect, preserve, and the
Yeah.
Union, and defend the Union, So
Definitely now gave motivation and impetus to the South now. Now
Absolutely.
I see why
Yeah.
Lincoln was stuck with such a.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well,
This is
because
interesting.
What's interesting about it too is that we had these presidents sort of back to back that were the first ones that really weren't good back to back, and also
They just didn't accomplish much. They didn't have the. Yeah.
yeah, it didn't accomplish much, and also it's interesting because people talk about prolonging the Civil War or delaying the Civil War, which I always think it's like, why was that good? Well, I
No.
think it's good in the scheme of history because we had Lincoln. I
Yeah.
think,
Thank
but
God.
also because of what we talked about a few presidents ago, which was, that it wouldn't have necessarily been a war. It would have perhaps just been a dissolution. I think the further along the country went, the more we were likely to want to keep the Union strong. So I
Right.
think that's why it was important
Sure.
for these guys to
Makes
kind of do
sense.
that.
Yeah.
So South Carolina seceded, and Buchanan basically did nothing to stop it. He,
Oh, it seceded during his presidency?
Yes,
Not
yes.
during Lincoln. Okay.
yeah, and so within 6 weeks, 6 states rejoined the rebellion.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Who was like the heading of this whole thing? Was there characters in South Carolina that sticks out?
Yeah,
Calhoun? Was he still-
Calhoun was one, and of course Jefferson Davis. He was Virginia and everything. But yeah, so
Wow.
so
You
here's
gotta get rid of that cat. Get rid
I
of
even
that
took
cat.
medicine this morning. Ugh,
Okay.
just comes out anyway. He purchased. So here's one thing that's good about him though. In his life, he purchased slaves and set them free. So that's kind of cool. I think that's one of the things I would have done is, you know, you
Yeah,
buy a
but
bunch of people
you
and
just
then you
said
set
he
them
was
free.
pro-slavery, so how?
No, he was pro-South. People couldn't figure him out exactly.
I guess not.
Yeah, he was an interesting cat.
Maybe he tried to please everybody and please nobody.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
one of those guys.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Van Buren and the rest.
Yeah, it never works. So then I went back and kind of learned a little bit about who he was and stuff. He was a private in the Pennsylvania militia of the War of 1812.
Okay.
Which was cool because all these presidents served in the War of 1812. It's almost like this generation, you know, really
Okay.
served in that war.
Yeah, the Revolutionary War bunch, and then now there's the War of 1812 bunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking. You know?
Uh-huh.
So he
and
was
then after this, sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
the Civil War bunch.
absolutely
After that, you know, Lincoln, Hayes,
Yeah,
Grant, all
yeah.
of them. Well, I don't know about Hayes, but yeah, I
Right.
think he was.
right.
Yeah. Okay, go
We
ahead.
don't do that anymore. We don't have the, you know, like.
well,
In fact,
well,
our Vietnam people have lost. Kerry lost. McCain lost. You know,
Bob Dole.
so Bob Dole,
like
yeah.
Bob Dole. Vote for Bob Dole. I vote for.
So a lot of the
He
Vietnam
was
guys
there at
lost.
the Arlington Cemetery. He's 94 years old.
Wow,
He was, and President Trump recognized him yesterday.
that's cool.
But yeah, you're right.
yeah,
uh,
hadn't thought about that.
Well,
until now,
because
but
we look at Vietnam as, unfortunately, a lot of people do. But anyway,
Yeah.
that we lost that war, I guess they don't want to be reminded. But the thing is, I don't know. I can't say I understand everybody, but I really don't, especially the majority sometimes.
yeah,
But you're right. I'm trying to think of the presidents since, let's see, Kennedy served. Johnson, Nixon, I don't know if they served. So really since Johnson, Nixon,
Eisenhower.
or Reagan, did Reagan serve in that?
No,
in
he
our
was an
forces?
actor.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think he. Yeah,
Reagan, Bush. Now Bush did,
yeah,
and George W. in the National Guard.
yeah, yeah.
Ish. But yeah. So, oh yeah, remember that whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
Stupid. Dan Rather deserved. But anyway,
Gosh.
no, that's the third mean thing I said about. Oh, why am I? I'm not even in a meanful spirit today. Lord help me. I can't wait to get to the word. I need it.
Yeah,
bad.
so let's wrap him up real quick. So he served as Jackson's minister to Russia. And
Really?
yeah, and he was also ambassador to the United Kingdom, not during Jackson, though. He did a few things, though, as Secretary of State. So, like,
So
as Secretary
he
of
did a
State,
lot more than these past two guys have.
in his
his
before
career.
he was in his
Yeah.
career, I think. So, but as Secretary of State, he presided over a lot of expansion, like us gaining the Oregon Territory. So he did a lot of things, like as a diplomat,
cool.
you know. And so he defeated Pierce. Pierce actually ran again, but didn't get the nomination. He also defeated Stephen A. Douglas, which we've been talking about, who was the guy in the Lincoln-Douglas debates. You know,
Right.
so yeah, that's Buchanan.
So,
You know,
and he
he's
was
just
what you said. He was Democrat.
Democrat.
You know, we gloss over it, but with the secession of South Carolina, he might have just immediately become a lame duck. I mean, you've got that whole
Right.
deal. How are you going to do policies when the Union is falling apart now?
Yeah.
And he said 6 joined with them at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So then Lincoln's coming on the scene. We got Lincoln. I should have had the Lincoln shirt for this week, but this week I have the Israel, which is pretty cool too.
Pretty
This is
cool.
my favorite, the Star of David, and it says, you want to read it for me? But it says if the Arabs,
If the Arabs put down their weapons today, there would be no more violence.
no more violence,
If the Jews put down their weapons today, there would be no more Israel.
no more Israel. Yeah. So I think it's really, so they're $20 shirts and any size, but if I'm wearing it for this week, which this is the AM Kevin week of this shirt, it's only 15.
Yes, sir.
And send it free shipping. So it's just 15, straight 15 shirt sent to you. This is a great discussion piece for sure. But I didn't mean to go there either. I want to get in the word before I do any commercials or anything. But interesting.
Very
Because
interesting.
Buchanan probably could have done more, maybe. I mean, he was successful in all these other things that he did, it sounds like, in Russia and England and Secretary of State.
But being, you know, of course, you could hindsight's 2020, you know. But I don't know if we didn't want to hasten the Civil War, get it over with. I don't know if we needed to push it back more and more. I mean,
Could war have been avoided, though? That's the big
I don't
question.
know.
What could
I
have
don't know.
happened? That no, they really, and they're probably going to be the greedy of the day tomorrow, because it was all about slavery and slave
Maybe
owners
it
and
wa-
money and cotton and crops. It was the whole deal.
maybe the only
They
thing could
felt
have
they
been
would
if there
lose.
was somebody who was a Southerner who was like maybe like a brilliant abolitionist, maybe like a Dr. King or somebody like that who could have risen up and shown the evils of it. Perhaps something like that, but I don't
made
know.
some compromise with them to not to still allow slavery, but give them reparation, maybe.
Well, it doesn't matter. See,
What-
to me, it's
I don't know.
you know, African Americans weren't free really until like
No.
the 60s, really. I mean, if you want
Right.
to talk about voting and everything
Right.
like that, so the idea that this changed.
Another 100 years coming.
Yeah, another
before.
100 years. So it didn't really change that much. I mean,
Well, I mean, they weren't used as property anymore.
of course.
But they were treated as such.
But some of
weren't.
them, I mean, they were, a lot of them stayed as like, they were paid, but how much were they paid? What were they,
Yeah.
so there were a lot of who did stay as sort of workers and stuff on plantations and different things like that, but with a certain pay and a certain that you could, but
It took us too long to make things right, that's for
Yeah.
sure. And
a lot of that had to do with Johnson, but we'll get to him in a few days, yeah.
yeah, well, he really didn't help things much either. But he was politically ostracized, basically, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean, anyway. I don't have a long devotional, but I thought it was very important to reiterate how God helps us in every situation. And we'll pray for our nation and the nation of Israel here at the end of this, and pray for you today. But I pray that you will understand that, as one scripture says, if God is for us, who can be against us? Nobody can stand against a God who is so many different things and so many different levels for us. If we understand that our God is not just a God up above. A lot of the cults and religions of today, there's a God up above, that if you attain so many things, if you can, you strap a bomb on your back and blow up some innocent people, then you have a chance to go into paradise, and you'll have 70 something, I think it's 70 or 80 voluptuous virgins, whatever. I mean, I can handle one woman in my lifetime. I don't know. I can't imagine 70. But you go and so you do these horrible things, or you're just a good Muslim. You can go to paradise or whatever. If you're a good Hindu and you don't kill any animals, or you just try to stay at peace. Anyway,
Come back
in
as
the
a
news
llama,
was,
right?
huh?
You come back as a llama, right?
You come like a llama. That's why they don't eat hamburgers, because that the cow could be Uncle Louie, and so you don't want to eat on him. And I don't, but it's a caste system. So
Yeah.
if you're good in this life, then there's another next life, and so there's regurgitation. I'm sorry, there's what's it called?
Reincarnation, yeah.
Reincarnation. I was kidding, and then I lost the real word.
Yeah.
So you got all that. I was just going to say that in the news, Tiger Woods was arrested for being a DWI, but then he said it was his meds. He shouldn't have been driving, and whatever, but he wasn't drunk. It was his meds.
Yeah.
So, but he's a Hindu, I heard.
Buddhist.
Buddhist.
Yeah.
That's where I was going next.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so the Buddhists, then, of course, you don't harm anybody. Then there's the fundamental truths of Buddha, and it's all about what you can do. Even in the Mormon faith, it's all about you do this, and you're a good thing, and you don't drink coffee, and you don't, this is the Mormon. You don't drink coffee, and you wear, your lucky underwear and all that. I don't believe that that's all still true, but
No, it is.
But they have So it's all about those things that you do. But when you understand who God is, you could never ride up the ladder of success to do it on your own, no matter how good you think you are. That's why even the Hindus, at least they're a little honest. You come back as a cockroach if you didn't, you weren't good enough.
Right.
But it's not how good we are. It's how good God is, that He loves us so much that He gave His only Son to die on us so we could have eternal life. And all we do is accept Him and believe that He is the one true God, as the Jews called it, the Hebrew children called Him Yahweh. The Lord is one God. And if we would believe and trust in Him, and discard every other god or idol that can put up. It was His number one commandment. If you'll have no other idols before me, no graven images, nothing before me, then I love you, and I want you to know that I'm God, not only because I'm a Lord over you. See, some want to be Lord over you. Muhammad would say that, Allah wants to lord over you and then tell you how to, treat women and how to, just horrible things that Jesus says, but I've come to give you life, and that more abundantly. I died for you. You don't have to do anything. I did it for you. The only thing you have to do is confess me and make me your number one idol, if you would, but make me your God. And he is God. And in so many different ways, Jehovah God, Yahweh, Jehovah Yahweh, has so many other names in his. In Genesis 22:14, he's called the Lord who will provide. In Hebrew, it's Jehovah Jireh. Philippians says, I'll give you the Old Testament thing, and then the New Testament parallel. In the Old Testament Genesis, he's Jehovah Jireh. Philippians 4:19, he says, I will supply all your needs according to my riches in glory. The Lord who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Wait a minute. What do I have to do to get, I'm trying to go to bankers and wealthy people to try to get out of this hole so we get back up. God has provided some miracles over this weekend that I can't share yet, but I can't wait to tell you the miracle. But I trust in God. I have to go to, if I go to a banker or somebody that's, wealthy or whatever and say, here, can you help and invest? I have to go through the dance. Mm-hmm. But Jesus went through the dance so that you can just receive what he has for you, Jehovah Jireh. And I could just stay on that point alone, but he's more than Jehovah Jireh. Exodus 15:26, he was called Jehovah Rapha. Jehovah Rapha is the Lord your healer. I'm the God that heals, and I change not, he said in Exodus. And in Luke 4:40, what did Jesus, one of his number one things that you think about Jesus' ministry on earth, in the 3 years he was on earth, what did he do? When the sun was setting, all those who were sick, had various diseases, were brought to him. There's just one case. This is 17 times. It says, and all that came to him were healed. And he laid his hands on these. Demons came out, and they said, even the demons said, you're the Christ, the Son of God. He was rebuking demons. He was healing every manner of diseases, all diseases. That's 17 times in his ministry. I've counted them because I believe he's the God that heals still. Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha. What do we have to do? Just accept him. Just believe he is God. Just trust him. It's the easiest, yet some people make it the most complicated thing. It's simple faith and trust in God. And you don't have to go through all the motions. The Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, I've looked into them. I've studied them. What do I want to be? What do I have to do all those things? Not that I'm a lazy person, but I'm a person who's practical. If he did these things and he loves us, he must be true God. If he's the one that came, by the way, Muhammad, Buddha, what's somebody from the Hindu faith?
Krishna.
Yeah, they're not. They didn't come back. Mm. Jesus died, and it's a proven historical fact. He rose again. He conquered death. He's not only Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha. Psalm 23 says he's Jehovah Rohi. The Lord is my shepherd, and because he is my shepherd, I shall not want. John 10:11 says what I said. He's given us life, and that more abundant. He is the great shepherd, is what it says in John 10:11. He is the great shepherd. My sheep know me, and when they hear my voice, they come and follow me. So do that today. Oh, there's so much more, and I've got 2 minutes before I go out. I don't care about the commercials. We have a need. Help us. If you're not a monthly partner, be a monthly partner. You get a gift of the month. This month was a devotional and a worship CD. And if you don't have my new Finishing Strong, order that today. I have a brand new CD that will bless you and encourage you. But he's not only Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Rohi, he's Jehovah Sabaoth, which in 1 Samuel says, I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts. He is, 1 Corinthians then backs it up and says, he is the victor. Jehovah Sabaoth means he is the victor, the Lord of hosts, the Lord over every victory. He'll give you victory. Jehovah Shalom, Judges 6:24 is where that's first found. The Lord is my peace. Jehovah Shalom brings you peace. John 14:27, my peace I give you, my peace I leave with you, not as the world gives, but I give you this, my peace. Jehovah Shammah, the Lord is there. It's found in Ezekiel 48:35. The Lord is always there, omnipotent, not only all-powerful, but omnipresent. He's with you everywhere you go. Matthew 28:20 reiterates this. And then Jehovah Sidkenu, the Lord is my righteousness, is found in Jeremiah 23:6. And of course, again in 2 Corinthians 5:21, when he says he has become your righteousness. In other words, you try every religious duty you can do. Even as a Christian, just because you go to church, pay your tithe, pray at dinner time, whatever, that what you do can never make you saved, never righteous. He is our righteousness. So I just say we ought to praise God for who he is and accept him today. If you don't know him in a real way, know him. If you've been astray, He says he's the shepherd, and even if you've gone astray, as his sheep, you can come back. So do that today. We got to go. We're in the last seconds here, and as we say goodbye, want you to know we'll be back at 2 o'clock. Laura Black Wines is singing for us today.
Yeah.
It's going to be a full show, a great show at 2 p.m. Central Time at the Kevin Shorey Show. Help us today if you can, but most of all, pray for us, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning. Abraham Lincoln is our historical moment.
Lincoln.
It's going to be great. We'll see you tomorrow.
Go Preds.